Good day, and it's good to have you back. So what I'm doing today, we can put it under the heading of triads, because what I'm trying to do is source out nice tunes that are melodic, that are not harmonically complex, that you can play with triads, that you can start to use to build your own arrangement. And so this morning, I thought, I was sort of hunting around, and I found this one, and I thought this would be nice. This would be a really nice arrangement, because it's such a lovely and simple melody. Okay, so first of all, I want to point out a few things that are happening in the melody here that'll obviously affect the arrangement itself and how we approach the chords. Right from the very top, we have a C with a G in the melody, so we can put that up here. But then from there we have that augmented 5, right? And so we have to augment the chord, and that moves to a 6. Okay, so we have right from the very top. I'm choosing this voicing because it sort of sits nicely. We could use this one down here. We could use that, but it seems to sit nicer here. So we have the augmented. I'm just using a double stop. And here's a D minor triad, right? Okay, and as I'll come back to that in a second. As for the chord progression, it's a 1 and a 2, right? The 2 functions as a subdominant. It takes it's the relative minor to the 4 chord. In other words, the relative minor to the F chord. So that's sort of cool. As a matter of fact, I used to play this tune many years ago in this sort of fun Dixie band. And the leader of the group did an arrangement of this, which was really pretty. So we have a 1 chord and a 2 chord and a 5 chord. This really should be G7 because it's an F in the top. So the G7. And then again 2, 5. So it's not 4, 5 chords, but going from an F to a G. But it's a little more if you want to use the term jazzy, right? So 2, 5, 2, 5 again, and then 1, and then the secondary dominant of F7 leading to the 4 chord this time, and then we call this the augmented 4 diminished. What a language it is, but that's what it is, because this chord is built on the raised 4 of the key. So it's built on the F sharp, and it's a diminished chord. And then we go back to the 1, and then a quick little turnaround to the 5, and then back to the 1. The second 16 is the chorus, and it's exactly the same as the first 16. So all we're going to be learning here is 16 measures. So as I said at the top, augmented. Everything's right underneath my fingers in that little C triad. And we just walk down. And I changed up from the D minor to the 5 G7. And there's my constant, the note that remains the same. And then D minor way up here. And then triads, and then now there, instead of using a G7, I use a G9 because it's in the melody. And this C chord is a C triad, but again, the melody tells me that I have to play the melody, and that gives me a C6 chord. So let's take that from the beginning. G7, 9, I'm not going to do fills. First of all, the triad, and then the C7. There's a nice F6 because again, it's in the melody. And then an F sharp diminished. So when we have a diminished, we know that the diminished repeats itself every 3 frets. And it happens to do that in the melody. C to A is a minor third, and so the chord can move the same way. So minor third. D minor, 9, 6, and F6, and then to the diminished. Yeah, something like that. Now, there's a fair bit of space between, in some places, like for instance here, there's a fair bit of space, and so you can do fills, even if you're just using arpeggios. Yeah, I'm just sort of play with it, right? And so this is sort of a suggestion for those of you who want to play in a chord melody style. The best way to play in chord melody styles is with strong melodies and nice chord progressions. There's tons you can do here, and I haven't spent honestly any time on it. I mean, I've spent maybe 40 minutes on this, just taking a look at it and trying to figure it out. Like in terms of there are always different ways to play everything. One of the things that I look for when I'm figuring out a tune like this is fingerings. Because if you have to, for instance, right off the top, I've got that augmented. So what's the best way to finger that? I'm actually changing things around so I can play. I find it sort of hard to squish that first finger. I could do that, but so and I decided to just play the 2 notes and then walk down. So it's not like it's not like it doesn't require a little bit of work to build a bit of an arrangement, right? There are lots and lots of different considerations. But mainly what you should do for right from the top is familiarize yourself with the melody, where this is written. Down here. Right? It's written down there. That's another thing I'm going to touch on. So we have to take the melody up an octave, right? To make it sing a little bit. So that's a consideration. But playing it down here in a sort of a rhythm chord style, like open position style, is valid. Just sort of reading it, but you get the idea. That's nice, to play it down there in open position. If you don't know how to read, if you're not a notation reader, become one, because it's important. The whole idea with being able to read is so you can learn melodies, right? So you can learn new melodies. Okay. You can work on it in open position. You can work on it in a closed position, but you sort of have to hunt down what's comfortable for you and what makes sense. You have to spend a little bit of time with it, and then once you've got something that you think, well, this works. Then you start to plant it. You start to dig in and plant it in by lots of repetition, and then you insert that into your repertoire. So just a closer walk with just a beautiful little melody done in the bluegrass style, and as I mentioned, even in Dixieland bands. And probably jazz groups. I think I've heard Louis Armstrong do this one. Of course I have, yeah. And one of the things that lends it to that is these 2/5 progressions. It doesn't sound country once you use 2/5 progressions. Naturally, if this weren't only about triads today, you can use more complex sounds as well. But for instance, in the case of D minor, I could use D minor 7 and even to a G7 with a flat 9, and that it doesn't sound crazy, but I would anchor your learning something like this in triads first. I can't emphasize enough how triads lead you to deeper things as you move forward. Also, keep in mind that you're in the key of C. If we took a look at the notes that we have here, all of these notes are in the key of C major. Obviously, this chord comes from C major scale. This chord comes from C major scale, C major scale, C major scale, C major scale, same. And this doesn't. There's a B flat in this chord. It's a secondary dominant. This chord is borrowed from the key of F, and as you can see, it leads to an F chord. Then we have the F sharp diminished seventh, and that will have a note that is not in the C. The scale of C. So be aware of these things, because that will help you in terms of doing fills. But by far, for the most part, we're all in diatonic C major scale. There are ways to make diatonic C major scales more interesting as well, like upper and lower neighbors, like even just a chromatic lower neighbor, right? Little things like that. They're quite common to do these chromatic neighbors. You can play with those as well. I'm just giving you some ideas for fills. So there you go, just a closer walk with E. I hope that made sense to you. If this is a tune that speaks to you in terms of the melody, then dive in and build a little bit of an arrangement with it. If you haven't gone through my series in Triads, I would strongly suggest that if you're coming here now and you haven't I think I've shot 7 videos about triads now, triads and inversions, and that's what this is about, this song, and one that I just did to Red River Valley. I think it was Red River Valley. Anyway, Canadian folk song, lovely melody. Okay. Yeah, lovely melodies are important when it comes to building chord solos, and that's what we're talking about today. Okay, thanks for stopping by. Hope that all made sense, and we'll see you real soon.